Hey, what's going on? This is Sunshine.
E.
Okay, one of our favorite times, and that time is what?
Story time.
Okay.
Listen, we're back, YouTubers, and thanks for coming back. We enjoy you guys. Hope you guys are enjoying us. But let me say something really quick. You know, a lot of people ask me, and I've said this on a couple of videos before, why the shades? Why you got on glasses? You inside, you know, and I explain it in some videos, and if, of course, that person has not seen that particular video, I still get this question over and over, and that's okay. But I explain because I'm sunshine. I'm a shade. Sunshine.
Hey, this is Sunshine.
And but anyway, so that's the reason why I wear my shades and in our videos. So I just want to get that out the way because I've explained it before. But you know,
yeah, I mean, sometimes when you, because that nickname some other people have, and I guess when you have certain nicknames like that or Cookie or whatever, people don't really try to noodle through and wonder why. They don't match up the visual with the information sometimes. So yeah, I can understand that. That makes sense. But we're going to get into some, just like she said, story time. These are going to be some questions. It's my turn to pump out the questions.
Pump it out,
and
pump
I got
it. 2
questions. And you know what? I'm going to start with what is. And this is something that maybe an older crew can stay on board with, because it's not as, I would say, as prevalent or as important or mainstream as it used to be, and that's, what is your favorite sitcom? So do you want, now I'm gonna ask you, but I'm gonna guess yours. I probably know, and I'm gonna let you try to guess mine. So since I know I'm not gonna guess yours, I'll just let you tell them. Or do you want me to guess?
What's your question?
The question is, what's your favorite sitcom?
Okay, so you're asking me the question.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I want to see if you know what mine is. I was going to ask you what, I think I know what yours is, but you rather than me. We all know I know, so go ahead.
Yeah.
But I want to know if you know mine, but go ahead, let's see.
I'm not sure that I know yours, so
okay.
I'm going to answer mine.
Okay.
Just as you directed the question. Well, we're going to say mine. You know, past, present, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. Past, present, sitcom, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Mine is, ding, 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 I Love Lucy.
Oh, I was going to say the Lucy Show. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's not.
No,
well, I like that one too,
no,
but I mean,
kidding.
Lucy's Lucy, so
yeah,
I'm just saying, you know, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, go ahead. So Lucy Show.
Lucy, I Love Lucy, Lucy Show, Here's Lucy, all the above.
Now, as you were watching that Lucy Show, because I guess it was really reruns that you were watching.
Of course, because
yeah. So I'm just saying, compared to other ones around that same time, is there a reason why you picked her or Lucy over other shows or sitcoms that were going on at that time?
Really, sitcoms wasn't really sitcoms as much that I can recall when Lucy was out. I mean, I grew up on I Love Lucy. I just grew up on it. You know, I would watch it every day when it come on. So, I mean, I don't think sitcoms when I started watching Lucy was as big. And I call it a sitcom. I don't know if it was called a sitcom back then. It might have just a TV show. I don't know. I don't think they were called sitcoms back then.
I mean, yeah, I thought they did. I mean, maybe not.
They were. I don't know.
I just thought they were. I mean, there's other, like I said, when I'm sure you've seen them reruns, and sitcoms really, as far as I'm looking back at a certain level, really started getting, I think, the 70s, because you had a lot of sitcoms during the 70s. I think the 70s and 80s was probably the biggest height of sitcoms at a certain level. They still have a number of sitcoms out now, but I don't think they're almost like filling up spots because we have to have sitcoms. I just think during those, even the 90s too, I guess we would say 70s, 80s, and 90s, once you got close to 2000, I think it started dying down like sitcoms were at one time, but they really had to, some of them had to switch channels or switch time slots and stuff like that. There was a lot of that going around. And but I don't really see that much. It wasn't I think technology had a big thing to do with that. So I'm sorry, but
probably could have, but she was in the '60s though, I think. So her show stemmed.
Oh yeah.
The '60s. So.
Oh, the show.
I wasn't around then, but I came after. But it wound up being a show. I don't recall watching it as a little girl. I remember watching it as a teenager to a young adult, and I mean I did watch it, but as a little kid. But I mean,
so let me ask you, when you watched Lucy's show, because it was a comedy or sitcom, did you laugh a lot during the course of the sitcom, like 30-minute show? Did you laugh a lot?
Of course.
Did you?
I still do.
Oh, okay.
Even though I can recite a lot of it.
Oh, okay.
I can recite her shows because I've watched them just that much. Mm-hmm. So,
No, I was just wondering because I love sitcoms. I love comedy. But I don't do as much laughing. That's why I ask, because I do, I'm more admiring the talent of the writing and stuff. I'll just be so into this, like, man, that's cool the way I like the way they did that. I didn't see that coming, that kind of stuff. I get into that more than every now and then it hits me hard, and I do break out laugh. And a lot of times I'll just continue to laugh, or I laugh about it 10 minutes in the thing I keep thinking about. So every now and then it'll hit me. So,
and I know in today's time, like you look at it and you're like, where's the humor? I look at some shows today and I'm like, I don't understand the humor. It doesn't hit me, So what brings laughter to you may not be the same laughter for me,
right.
Because sometimes I feel like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I didn't get it,
Yeah, a lot
in some cases, but, it was more, I guess, of not necessarily of what she said in a lot of her shows. It was of what she did. Yeah, she was acrobatic. She kind of did a lot of physical stuff in her. So that, along with the laughter and comedy and the writing of the script, there were physical stuff.
Yeah,
involved. That kind of
only sitcom I thought ever got close to Lucy when it comes to especially a female having the physical thing was Laverne and Shirley. They got physical in a lot of their stuff. Mm-hmm. They did a lot of stuff that was physical, going through windows, They did a lot of stuff. That's a close. I don't think anybody else has ever gotten to the level of I Love Lucy and Laverne and Shirley, as far as female comedians or doing that stuff. That I can recall offhand.
Carol Burnett.
Oh, Carol Burnett. Now she was more a sketch comedy or. She did more variety type show,
right?
But still, yeah, definitely. I thought of her, but I was like, well, I really can't pit her against them because that was. But she did do a lot, and it's weird when you look back on it because none of them. Well, I know Lucy and Carol Burnett was not really any big women; they were kind of small. I was like, wow, they're doing a lot of physical things to be, small. So I gave them a lot of credit for that. But they were large. Yeah.
Penny Marshall.
And what was it Cheryl something? Shirley or really Shirley. Sure. Yeah. I can't remember. Everybody
passed away now. So.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not, because I can go a lot with yours. I can
what go. Do you think it is?
I can range. No, I'm not going to guess because.
Well, give me two guesses, two or three guesses. Because I know if you get three guesses, you should guess it.
And this was one of mine, but it wasn't. And I seem to pick up stuff after the season's over. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good show. And which one of them that I'll watch till to this day is Seinfeld. Okay.
Guess number one. Let's move on to guess number two.
Old or current? I don't know. Is it?
Well, it's old. I mean, it's going to be older than now. It's none of the current ones right now. I don't have any beef with them, but I think what this comedy does now is it's not what the joke is, because a lot of times I see the joke coming, but it's how they do it, the tone and all that stuff. So.
Okay, so I would say Sanford and Son.
Okay, guess number two.
So I told you I can't guess yours. I don't know, because you have a variety.
Yeah, I do.
You know, that's true. And the other one is not really. It's not a funny comedy though. It's just a sitcom. It's just I was just gonna say Andy Griffith. I don't know.
No. But that was yes. When you put it that way, I guess it is a comedy. It is a sitcom, I guess, because it is based on comedy. But it was a lot serious than. It's like they really didn't push the jokes as much. But no, that's not it. Actually, there's a stream of sitcoms that I do like, and this one is among it. That's why I probably like those. But my favorite sitcom is The Jeffersons.
I started to say The Jeffersons, but I said Jeffersons over Sanford and Son. Jeffersons over Sanford and Son. I'm just going to go for Sanford and Son. I absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Jeffersons, I'm going to tell you, because when actually, Jeffersons is a spinoff of All in the Family. Mm-hmm. Which is weird is All in the Family started off at another country. It didn't start here. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's the same thing with Sanford and Son. That was a product from somewhere else, but they just redid it for America. But
you said they started off where? From
Sanford and Son started off from another country. And
what sitcom you said?
I think it was All in the Family did too, from my understanding. It's weird because that's a Norman Laird thing. I don't know if Norman Laird seen these things and said I'm gonna redo it. I know Sanford and Son was because I actually seen one show of Sanford and was called something else and Son. I can't remember what the name they had, but it's basically the same premise. But they brought it over here in America. But The Jeffersons, that's my favorite sitcom, really based on Sherman Hemsley, which played George Jefferson. But I think if he was a George Jefferson from All in the Family, I probably wouldn't, because he was a lot rougher and militant during that time than he was in jail. He softened up a little bit as the season was on.
You think so?
Yes, yeah. If you watched how he was in All in the Family, he was real rigid. But as he went on, he changed. And what really made me really give him a lot of credit is I seen him doing an interview, and he is 360, would it be 180, I guess, from George Jefferson. When he did it, he is nothing. You would never think that he could.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You would never think that he could pull that part off if you watch the interviews. Like, wow, George Jefferson is like, don't mess with that dude. Hemsley, you feel like you could run all over. The guy that he's like.
His character versus his personality.
Versus who the kind of person is. Most times, people be like, okay, I could see when they do an interview, yeah, they could got a little bit of him, and he had zero. When he thought that he was real timid, and he's the kind of person who's always by himself. And that's why you never heard a lot of stuff about Sherman Hemsley in his private life, because he was so closed off and everything. And I seen this, I couldn't believe that was him. I was like, wow, that's George. But I was just his show. One other thing, his show. And I know the writing has a lot to do with it, but I think that actor brought it to the next level. His is the only show where I actually think about certain things and just laugh. He's the only one that really got me really getting a good laugh, because it was good quality writing and the delivery is so beautiful, and his facial, all that it was just Top Gun. And so that's why, and that show George could always give me that during the course of a show. He'd give me at least one good, and I'm not one. I was one, I could watch a comedy special and say, man, that was really good. And somebody said, really? Because I've never seen you laugh. Because I'm just so more focused on the quality of the writing and how the jokes were. It's like, oh, that was good. I like the way that moved. So I'm not really a laugher. But he always brought one out me, at least every other show. So that would be my favorite sitcom. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next question. If you could interview a famous person, who would it be? Now, this could be past or present, here with us, not with us anymore. Either way, famous person you love to interview.
Let me think about that. You answer yours.
Okay. I'm going to answer it. It really was coming down to two people. And the story is interesting. Their story is interesting. But the reason why I want to interview them is I can never get what I felt was the good information, because the interviews that they did. And I'm going to get back to that. I'm a person that I love the ID channel, so I watch a lot of mystery, murder, stuff like that. I always love mysteries, but I think the reason why movies or Hollywood didn't do a lot of mysteries, it's hard to keep watching the mystery over and over again. Because once you figure out it was Professor Griff with the candlestick in the conservatory, what good is watching that movie? I think that's the only because it didn't have longevity afterwards. But I always love murder mysteries. And so that's why I watched the ID channel. And this is part of that situation here. But the reason why, getting back to the reason why I didn't feel I got the information is when people did interview these two people, they interviewed them as if they were wrong. In other words, they didn't try to interview to get the information. They interviewed them almost to bring them down or denigrate them or whatever. And so I just too, I'm gonna go with the I'm gonna say the first one, which I'm not gonna go with if I got to pick one, and I go with the next one. The first one is Wayne Williams. Wayne Williams, which is anybody if probably goes back, he was the one that they said killed all the kids in Atlanta. And I don't know, it's 30, 40 kids or something like that, something crazy like that. But this is back in the 80s, early 80s, I think it's early 80s. And he killed all these black kids and threw them off the bridge and all this stuff. And I've seen a few interviews. 70s, okay. And so he's one. The other one is O.J. Simpson. I would love to interview because everybody that interviews him tries to outdo him instead of just interview him. So there's a lot of information I think we could get from both of those guys. But since I'm going to interview one, I'm going to put OJ because it was such a nationwide thing when it comes. It might even worldwide, but it was such a nationwide thing because he was famous before he became famous. But Wayne Williams didn't get famous until he became famous. So I'm just saying, so I would love to interview him and pull back because he loves to talk. I think they would have got more information out of him if they didn't try to put him in the corner all the time, try to make him look bad. We already understand, or everybody already made the decision what they think about him. So when you come to interview, don't get into that. If you feel that way, you feel that way. You're going to feel that way regardless of. So why not interview him in a way that you get more information? Because he's one that if you let him talk and make him comfortable, he'll keep running on and on and on. And I think we've got a lot more information, whether damaging or make him look better. I don't know. But I think we'd have got more information on him and what he thought and what went on. Because the weird thing is he's one of my, he used to, years ago when they said, who's your favorite sports guy, he was always a person. And it wasn't because necessarily his abilities, it's because he seemed to be a humble dude. I mean, he's a guy, when he scored a touchdown, he didn't slam it and dance and he didn't do nothing. He just handed the ball to the referee. When he broke the records, they was picking him up. He's like, okay, I'll pick it, but he didn't feel like he always gave credit. Reggie McKenzie was one of his linemen. He used to always give credit to his linemen. I couldn't do it without them. He could have left early in his career for money. And the coach said, no, come on, we could do something here, OJ. And he stayed, even on a bad team. So I always admired the fact that he showed humility, and he was willing to stay on a bad team to see if they got better. Never really got too much better, but he broke a lot of records there, and ultimately he went to San Francisco where he ended his career. I think he played a couple of years. He didn't do too hot. But so when this came along, I really paid attention to it, and that'd be the one person I want to interview because I think there's more information out there to get from him, but nobody would ever put him in a situation to allow him, I think personally, interview-wise, to to get it out. So that'd be a person I'd do.
I'm still indeciphered about this. I'm gonna say, and I probably said this once before, I don't know when that was, but I'm gonna give kind of two. Jerry Lewis. Always a fan of Jerry Lewis. Another one I grew up on, comedy, that I would love to have interviewed or sat down and talked with him. Because his character was really, I don't know what his personality was really like, other than seeing him on the telethons. Right. And then, even with that being said, who he really was as an individual. Was he liked by, not just people of his family, but people that was outside his family. I'd like to know, how he was as a person.
Have you seen any of his later interviews, before he passed?
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with those.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. When you said interview him, probably in the midst or in the height of the telethon would be a good time to interview him.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed, but he was also of age.
Yeah.
And sometimes elderly get a little
I don't think that was him. I think that was
right.
I
think that had a lot to do with, and then with the telethon being snatched from underneath him, he probably knew it was coming, or if had it come at that point. Mm-hmm. So he probably was going through a lot at that time. I give it to him. However, he did it. Mm-hmm. As far as the telethon, let's go back to his career in movies. Very creative, mm-hmm. very also physical. Goofy. He did a lot in his movie career, acting career, that caused some of his medical conditions mm-hmm. later in life. That's unfortunate. He made people laugh, mm-hmm. and as opposed to him making people laugh, he got injured in a sense. And
he gave up a lot too for the telethon. People don't understand. He gave up a lot. He was, hot at the top when he did. And
I get maybe if this were the case where people just graciously just gave their money because they were trying to help, the people of this status of disability and stuff. Now, whether the stories of them saying he did whatever, he didn't do all right by the money, I don't know, but I still think that he did a lot by the money. Whether it was all or not, or some, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know. Mm-hmm. This he say, she said, type of situation. And growing up with the telethon, I was never a night person. I bed 8 o'clock all the time. But that was the one night that I stayed up all night long and kept my television on and would, periodically wake up and, see who's on or whatever, that kind of thing, not knowing that was one day going to be a sinner, mm-hmm. That we would deal with it. And we did. So, but that wasn't the reason that I necessarily liked him. I liked him as an actor first, before the telethon. Mm-hmm. So, the telethon was just on top of that, and I hate the way that it was taken from him, underneath him like that. If that were the case, it didn't give us as families who were dealing with that situation clarity on the reasons.
I think ultimately technology was going to take over because it just wasn't. But I think what he offered, and it shows you the difference between that type of entertainment, those level, and during that time, these are people that gave up their time to perform basically for free, mm-hmm. and all he said, just donate some money. You get entertainment that you have to pay for.
Right.
Just go ahead. They're willing to get. You can never get that kind of thing happening mm-hmm. now. If you ain't paying, they ain't showing up.
Right.
For the most part. Let's be honest. So that was a huge thing that he was able to accomplish. Yeah. These weren't just Rudy Pooty people that were going.
Yeah.
That were
and you're talking about years.
Yeah, these are people.
Years of this occurring. So it didn't just happen. It went on for years, mm-hmm. and he got these people. And I want to say this too as well. And it didn't say I don't know about him, but I'm just saying for his staff and his office, because we wanted to go out to Vegas one time in our family, because our son, he was a Goodwill ambassador for his state at the time, and I had wrote a letter asking if we came out there, would we be able to meet him? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be on the show. It didn't matter to me. It would have been nice, but wanted to at least meet him. And details of my letter, they responded. They did not send a generic letter saying, oh no, sorry, can't do this, blah, blah, blah. They was specific in details that I mentioned in my letter. So they took time to actually read my letter, probably over millions of letters that they had received. And I just appreciated that. And that says for, he didn't pick his staff, but necessarily, but I know he had input in choosing and selecting some. So, I mean, it says a lot. But the other person, real quick, and I'll just make this really short, and there's no, and I've said this in one of our videos, and this was an artist, a fairly new artist to us, to me, I don't know about you, I think it was to both of us, before we started doing reactions on them, and that's NF. I would love to sit down. I would like to sit down and have a conversation with him. Not necessarily interview, just have a conversation of him based on, the lyrics he writes.
Right.
And I mean, because they are powerful lyrics. Right. I'm just saying, I turned out to be a NF fan, just with these reactions, and I like to see who he is as a person. Right. On a personal level.
Right. Well, that sums it up. I mean, most of those people that we mentioned, we could probably do a whole thing on them. But hopefully y'all enjoyed this, and there's some of the questions you can ask yourself, or maybe you have some comment about some of the people we picked, or some of the shows that we talked about. But we're just going to end that here. But before we do, please just like and please comment below. And I do believe that's it.
That is it. Thanks for following Sunshine and E.